Our next guest was supposed to fight in the co-main event of UFC Dublin until his opponent had to pull out due to injury. Nevertheless, he is still the number 7th ranked heavyweight and the owner of the UFC's most iconic laugh. It's a pleasure to welcome Big Ben Rothwell back to Submission Radio.
How's it going?
Very good, very good. It's great to have you back on the show, Ben. Now tell us, since you found out your fight's been cancelled, what have you been up to?
I stayed a few days in Ireland past the fact. I hung out with the fans, which was great. There really are some amazing, people to be with, and really they embraced me as if I won the fight. I didn't even get to fight that weekend. I was really disappointed for all of Dublin, losing their main event and then the co-main event. And just it was a rough thing to see the fans, get kind of burned that way, but they still had a blast. They had fun with the UFC that they had. They took care of me. So I had a lot of their support, and a lot of people felt bad for me for seeing that my opponent got matched with a fight before I got. But, that's just kind of how life is. I mean, you guys watch MMA long enough, you'll know that, judges' decisions aren't the only thing that isn't fair. So it's kind of the way it is. I've been doing the sport for 16 years, and I kind of learned to take punches and roll with it. And I find sometimes that bigger opportunities can present themselves later on, and I feel like this might be one of those situations. I know they're talking about me getting rematched, hopefully in January. As far as opponents go, nothing has been set, but they haven't officially done anything yet. So that could mean some different things. I'm not sure yet, and I'm just been back training home in Wisconsin and just getting ready for whatever comes my way.
Gotcha. Ben, when you say rematching, are you talking about like doing the Stipe Miocic fight, or are you talking about like a rematch with, say, Mitrione or someone else you've previously fought?
No, rematched, like they're going to rematch me with another, because I was scheduled to fight.
Yeah.
They're going to, so I could rephrase that. Just they're going to match me with somebody soon.
Sure.
So I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Because Stipe and Andrei are obviously already matched the fight.
Let me ask you, Ben, obviously a situation like this is pretty negative, but have you sort of found out how supporting all your fans are? Because it seems like there's been an outpour of support from fans all around the world when they found out this happened to you.
I was really, it's one of those pleasantly surprised. I just kind of threw out some little things on Twitter and stuff. I'm not big on social media. I kind of stop and check in from time to time, obviously when I get closer to a fight as well. And I just threw out a few things, and it was really crazy, the response to just how little things got out there. Like the very first tweet I had was to Stipe, and I said, I tagged him and said, "Are you serious?" It was crazy how many headlines that little sentence got, and got everybody interested. And then within later that day, it got announced he was injured. So that kind of sparked the whole thing. And then when I did little things when I was in Ireland after the fight, when the fight was officially canceled, I kind of just poked fun at the situation. I figured there was no point in getting upset about it. It was a bad situation for everybody. So I just tried to have some fun with it. And it seemed like the fans really took a good response to it. We had a good laugh, and it kind of caused everybody supported me to really come out. He said, it's not just having fans where I'm from. It's like I'm seeing I have fans all over the world now. And, it's a pretty big voice when they all get together. And I think the UFC's been listening, because that support translated right on to Fox Television, and, the anchors, Cormier and Kenny Florian and, Ariel Helwani, a lot of these media, MMA junkie guys, a lot of the media just in around the world has been and kind of speaking up for me too. So I really appreciate each and every one of them, man. The fans what I fight for.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's funny you say you're not much on social media, because when you went on your Twitter, before this interview, just to have a look at things, there was heaps of tweets, heaps of retweets. You're a bit like the man of the people, especially in Dublin, and the Irish are obviously a passionate bunch. Did you find yourself feeding off the people there, and did it sort of ease the spirits a bit?
For sure. I mean, it was really nice for me as the UFC had already set up. They had brought in guests, Andrei Arlovski and Rory McDonald and Max Holloway as guests. They were coming in just to kind of be there to be social. So they kind of put me into that role with them. And what a great, setup that was, because Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it was like UFC Fan Expo of Ireland. And I was just doing appearances and hanging out, and the fans loved it. And there were some situations where, they had us blocked off in VIP section, and I jumped the fence and went into the crowd, and they really liked that too. And I love it, man. I was like, I try to tell the fans all the time, no matter how scary I look, you just got to come up and say hi to me. That's all you got to do. And the Irish fans had no reservation. Like they came up and I swear I told at the Q&A there was about 3,000 people, and I told them, like, hey, I'll sign and take photos with everybody in here, and they took me serious. I think I got a picture with everybody, so
Wow.
it was really cool. I'm really happy to do it.
Now, you mentioned Andrei Arlovski was there, Ben. We have to ask you, what was the conversation like between you two? Obviously, he knew that your fight didn't come through. Did you guys have any interesting moments together?
We did, actually. When I was younger, obviously I was more of a fighter before I became a martial artist. So I never wanted to see anyone that I might fight. It was mean mug everybody. It was a fight. Well, 16 years in this, I've become a martial artist, and even if I have to fight somebody or not, I can be their friend. I can be everybody's friend. And the night that we compete, that's something all in itself. Who I become that night is something in itself. And anything before and after that, it's fine. I'm just Ben Rothwell, and I can be cool to you. And Andrei is very professional as well, and he gave good response. I came up to him. I told him, I showed him some of my stuff that I was saying. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm calling you out, and stuff like that. And he's kind of like, talk to UFC, you know what I mean? He just not me. He just kind of like almost like kind of laughs, like, yeah, he knows, and like this is what we do. And then kind of from there on out, the rest of the week, he was like trying to scare me throughout the week. Like he was like hiding behind elevators and stuff like that. And I kept busting him. That's what's so funny about it is, so it was good to have a good laugh with him. And he's kind of telling me about his life and that he moved to Florida and that he, still, because he lived in Chicago. He lived just an hour from me since I think he's been in the UFC. So I was interested to hear that he moved away and, he still travels to Greg Jackson. So it's kind of interesting to hear how other guys are doing things. And, he's very professional and definitely, like I said this, most of the guys in the top 10 in the heavyweight division with me are guys I'd probably make my best friend. Like we obviously have something very, special between us. I mean, we fight in front of millions of people against each other, and it's a unique situation. And I definitely respect these guys. So it was cool. Good time in Ireland.
That's awesome. Now we're curious. Had the fight happened with Stipe, did you have any surprises planned for the fans for your entrance music and your outfit? And if so, will you save them until your next fight? We know you used Dracula's music last time. Anything like that planned for this one?
I mean, the only thing I can really talk about without telling you too much is just know that if I'm the first one out, I have one song. If I'm the second one out, I have another song. So that's like my little thing that eventually people would catch on to. And I don't care if you figure it out, but it's just like, it's more for me. It's more, what happens. And I guess nobody's heard my first song yet, and Stipe was ranked higher than me. So it was going to be something new, and everything that comes with it is just, it's got to remain a mystery. That's why you guys want to tune in and see me fight.
Well, hopefully you come out first in your next fight. Now, me and Casper were a bit into the conspiracy theories, and we were sort of hoping that possibly when your fight got cancelled in Dublin, there was a chance that you'd end up on UFC 193 here in Australia, possibly against a guy like Stefan Struve, with Russell getting another opponent. Was that possibility at all available to you? Did anybody try and bring that up with you?
It's just the fact that it's less than 2 weeks away already, and I'm still recovering from Ireland. When I was in a very, very specific type of training camp, that when I went to Ireland and then I didn't have to fight, let's just be honest, my diet, my training schedule, things, I basically turned it into a vacation. Now I'm back and I'm recovering, but the fight in a week from now, that's not going to be my best performance. Now, December 19th, if you guys have checked the media, you'll see that I've been very vocal about filling in if Alistair Overeem gets hurt. I said fighting Junior Dos Santos is the fight that I want more than anything, because to me, he's the number one contender. He's the guy that's ranked right behind the champ and Velasquez. So it's like, that's who I asked for originally. Now, I know that my name is in the hat that if Overeem or Junior get hurt, I basically said I'm the one that's going to step in. I told Dana White, I said, as far as your main event goes on at night, you don't have to worry. You'll have a main event no matter what, unless both guys get injured. But as of right now, I've been very vocal. And obviously, with Andrei Arlovski and Stipe, I mean, injuries happen, and that's just the beginning of January. Yeah, I got to be ready for that too. I mean, Stipe's back might go out again, right? It just happened, so
So would that just to clarify, Ben? So would that mean that you're going to be training all the way, basically from now until through New Year's, Christmas, and until January?
Yeah, I've been training this week. I've been basically I started training the Monday. I started training just like I had been training prior to getting ready for the Stipe fight. So yeah, I'm back on it because look how crazy it is of guys getting injured. I mean, Stipe was allowed to pull out just a week and a half before the fight, and the injury was, wasn't severe. That literally the Tuesday after that we were supposed to fight, he's posting a picture of him in a cage training. That blew my mind more than anything of this entire situation, is the fact that he was willing to post a picture of him in a cage the Tuesday after we were supposed to fight. That blew my mind. Like, that was probably one of the poorest thought out pictures to post. But, guess it doesn't matter when you got a contract to fight somebody in January, right? So.
Yeah, well, it's something that, it's a valid point, because a lot of people do wonder if he's injured, why does he get the fight with Arlovski instead of you? Did you have a chance to speak with Dana White or anyone about in the UFC about why?
Yeah, it's one of those things, guys. It's beating a dead horse. There's nothing good of me going to talk about it. The decisions were made, and now we just got to ride this thing out and see how it happens.
Yeah, so they explained to you, though, why they went with Stipe instead of yourself? They explained their decision-making process, or is it still something that you're still not sure about?
I mean, their reasoning is that Stipe's ranked third and Andrei's ranked fourth. And that was, pretty much the end of it.
We imagine Dana would want to get you back in there as soon as possible, but looking through the heavyweight rankings, I mean, okay, you've been saying for a while now you want Junior Dos Santos, or you've already faced Alistair Overeem, but let's say it's not those guys. It does seem like you may have to wait. Would you take a fight with someone who's ranked lower, like Frank Mir or Josh Barnett, to get back in the octagon?
Those are obviously the two names getting thrown around the heaviest. So we're just trying to wait to see, what they're going to do. I mean, I know both guys have openly said, like, yeah, they're ready to fight. They're willing to fight whoever. So all three of us are kind of situation, and we're just waiting. And there was a big set of announcements that just happened yesterday for January 30th, for beginning of February. I thought I was going to be a part of those announcements, and it didn't happen. So I'm really not sure what's going on yet.
Well, there's another scenario in which it looks like perhaps the winner of Junior Dos Santos and Overeem may go on to get a title shot. You've actually beaten Overeem, so would it frustrate you if he ends up getting a title shot before you?
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're supposed to do. I can only do so much. I can only keep beating who gets put in front of me,
Well, the other option would be if Junior wins, it's possible the UFC might hold off from giving him a title shot just because it may lead to, a fourth fight with Kane. Do you think that could be the perfect time for you to fight Junior, especially because he's the guy that you've wanted to fight for so long? Maybe that way they sort of do you and Junior before he gets a title shot.
Yeah, I mean, I think the situation is that if him and Overeem happen, I'm probably going to have to hope that I get a fight to fight somebody in January. Then I think I could strongly, vocalize trying to get that fight again and actually get it. I think Stipe and Andrei, that kind of the result of that fight's going to matter. So say Stipe does beat Andrei, I don't think they want Stipe and Junior again. So I think that also helps open up my shot to have the Junior fight. If Andrei wins, I think that could also screw up Junior because they might want to throw Andrei back in. I think Andrei's got this whole resurgence. He's got I think he's got more people around the world want to see him fight than Junior for the title. That could, but that could mean nothing. You know what I mean? It's like the UFC's matchmaking is something that a job I don't think anybody wants, and we have no idea how complicated it really is and how hard it is, and we just got to kind of let them do their thing.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot more complicated than people give it credit for. Well, you mentioned Stipe and Arlovski's fight. Take us through it technically. Who do you think is going to win that fight?
I know it's a bad answer. You guys don't want to hear it. It's really about who shows up to fight that night. I know it's one of those things that's just technically breaking them down. They have lots of things to neutralize each other and, ways to win. And I really feel like it's a very good match fight, and it's just really who's gonna plan and who's going to execute their game plan, because I know both of them use game plans, and I know they watch footage and stuff like that. So that's just the way they fight. And I think it's just a matter of who's going to be ready to do it the night of the fight.
Yeah, sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. Ben, when we spoke to you last time, you mentioned that you'll be looking to take a bit of a break, possibly 9 months after the fight with Stipe. Obviously, that'll went out the window. Does that plan stay intact now, or would you possibly be looking to have more consecutive
fights?
Yeah,
I shot myself in the foot with that.
Yeah.
I actually heard about, what are you, crazy? It's 9 months. Like, they didn't like that too much. And I'm just like, no, I'm just saying it's not a big deal if it happens. Like,
yeah.
Here I was ready to fight 5 months later. Like, showed up in Ireland, I was ready to fight. So I did it. I beat that 9 month curve by a good 4 months. But here I am. I'm going to be about 9 months out, So it's like, so I get for opening my mouth, guys. Thanks.
Well, I mean, sorry to cut in there, Dennis, but let's say you fight in December, January. After that, it's crazy to even ask because you don't even have a fight lined up, if we can even ask that far ahead. But, if you do fight in January, would you see yourself taking a big majority of 2016 off, or would you kind of want to get back in there soon? Because that's probably when the title picture will clear up, somewhere around mid-2016.
Yeah, I need to be active. I know that right now. I know I said taking 9 months off, but it isn't going to do me any favors. And I guess I just really came off wrong. I said it, but I was in my mind, meaning, if it happens, I can deal with it better, but I need to push right now. I need to push and fight more. Like that's, and if you have a tough fight and your body's busted up, I mean, hey, you got to deal with it. You don't want to hop into a fight busted up for no reason. But my last 2 fights, if I can continue to keep repeating my performances, yes, I could fight very soon after. Both fights, I've walked away nearly unscathed, and the Overeem fight, my arm was jacked up, but it wasn't broken, and it only took like a few weeks. So I could have been booked again after that. But obviously the timing was right. I had a good training camp for Miocic and was able to take care of it. And, I feel like I put myself into a fight about as reasonably as quickly as I could into a fight that mattered, you know what I mean? And it was 5 months. I think it was a good time. It gave me a month to get to the Fan Expo in July. I got to hang out with the fans. I didn't have to worry about anything. And then I got home. I started training camp, and I was ready to win in Ireland. So I definitely am going to push for 2016, guys. I definitely need to get some fights in. I know I'm not going to get the title fight in a fight. I'm not a fight away unless I got to fight Junior Dos Santos. So I gotta get these fights out of the way, get the title.
And we're very excited to see what happens. Now, switching topics for a second, but still staying in the heavyweight division, we never really got your thoughts, Ben. What did you think about Fedor not going over to the UFC? Because a lot of fans did want to see a Ben Rothwell-Fedor fight, obviously, because you two are legends in the sport. Were you disappointed when you saw that he was signed over to Japan instead of coming over to the UFC?
It's kind of like a yes and no. For me, I'm kind of more in the middle. Like, honestly, I didn't really give a shit. But if he did, I could have got excited and been like, yeah, cool. It'd have been a great. I'm sure any heavyweight in the top 10 would have liked to fight him. I mean, it's a true legend, and kind of see where he's at again. The fact that he didn't, I'm not surprised. I don't think it's the competition as much as it is he's getting offered vast sums of money to beat up a tomato can. Who doesn't want to do that? He earned it, and obviously he's gonna get millions of dollars to beat up a guy that has a losing record. You guys want to do that too?
Sure, why not? Yeah.
So it's kind of it's kind of more business for him right now. So it is. I think if he was truly serious, it's truly about the competition, they would have striked some kind of deal at the UFC that made sense for him, and he'd be fighting the best. The bottom line is, I can say this without hesitation: the UFC division, heavyweight division right now, is better than it's ever been since the UFC has been started. That I know for a fact. And I've been a fan. I've been fighting since 1999, so I've watched the heavyweight division my whole life. And right now is the time to. You want to prove you're the best, now is the time to do it.
Oh, for sure. And it does look like he'll be stuck in Japan for a couple of years or a few fights. If he ever does end up coming down to the UFC, we're guessing that would be a fight that you'd love to have if he ever does make it to the UFC, Ben.
Absolutely, sure.
Ben, just as we wrap up, I always want to sort of give you an opportunity to tell us a bit about your gym, Rothwell MMA. What's news at the gym? Tell us a bit about it.
Oh, at the Q&A, I got asked about any up-and-coming talent, and I got to mention James Bogdanovic. He's trains with me almost for all my since I started Rothwell MMA. I've gone the 4-1 in the UFC, and James has been basically training with me for all that. So it's done a lot of things right, and obviously Luis Claudio is LCCT. So these are just some names of people you want to check out online and check them out. They're my coaches and training partners, and I they get excited when they see new hits on their social media and people checking out their website. LCCT.com is Luis Claudio Combat Team. He's a Hickson Gracie second black belt ever, and he's a world champion jiu-jitsu from. He won the Worlds in 2012, so he doesn't compete often, but when he does, he does it big. So. Just shout out to those guys and just thank them. And the gym overall, and you just check it out, RothwellMA.com. You can see the photos. Our gym's really been busy lately and just really enjoying a good time. And it's pretty awesome to have a gym doing what it's doing in a place like Kenosha, Wisconsin. The reason I say it is you say Kenosha, Wisconsin, people say, where? You know what I mean? It's just in a small corner of Wisconsin, but I like it that way.
Mm.
Well, when we were searching where the gym was, we did have to Google map it a couple of times. So that's true. Now, finally, Ben, before we let you go, there's a big event happening here in Melbourne, UFC 193. Before you go, we'd like to get a prediction from you. Who's winning the main event between Ronda Rousey and Holly Holm? Give us a Ben Rothwell perspective. Does Holly Holm have a chance?
Well, every fighter, in the UFC, should have enough skill to win a fight, no matter what. But Ronda Rousey's amount of skill and amount of experience and amount of ways to win the fight, I think, greatly outweigh Holly Holm's. I believe that Holly's going to be a huge underdog, and rightfully so, because Ronda Rousey is very skilled at what she does, and she knows how to do it every time. And I believe it's going to produce another win.
There you go. You heard it from the man himself. Ben, it's always a pleasure having you on the show. Guys, don't forget to follow Ben Rothwell on Twitter at RothwellFighter and check out his gym, Rothwell MMA, at RothwellMMA.com. It's very well worth a visit if you're in the area. And as always, thanks so much for coming back to Submission Radio, Ben. It's a pleasure having you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Love to shout out to the Australia fans. And, you guys are awesome too. We love you guys, kind of like in Ireland there too. You guys are great fans. And, yeah, if you guys in Australia like to have me, I'd love to be back. And, I'll see you guys.